I always thought betrayal had a face the enemy's face. I never imagined it would wear my own blood, my own childhood memories, my brother's smile. My brother Ian and I grew up sharing everything. The same blanket during winter, the last piece of bread, the same dream of escaping the small life we were born into. He used to say, one day, we'll sit in our own office, side by side. I believed him without question. Why wouldn't I? He was my brother, my best friend, my strongest ally. We started our company together. Not inherited, not gifted. Built with sleepless nights, burned coffee, second-hand laptops, and faith. I handled planning, legal work, finances. Ian handled people, meetings, confidence. We were perfect halves of the same whole. At least, that's what I thought, but success is strange. It doesn't knock. It seeps in quietly and changes people from the inside first. Ian began to enjoy the spotlight. He liked hearing Sir Ian instead of Ian by. He started dressing sharper, speaking less to me and more to others. The word we have faded. Slowly, painfully, it became I. My ideas appeared in meetings as his brilliance. My strategies turned into his victories. People applauded him, and I stayed in the background, invisible but loyal. I kept quiet, because love makes silence feel noble. Then the morning came that split my life into a before and after. I arrived at the office like always, coffee in hand, head full of plans. The security guard stepped in front of me. His voice was low, almost guilty. "Sir, you're not allowed inside anymore." For a second, I thought it was some kind of prank. I laughed, then Ian walked out of the elevator. His face wasn't angry, it was worse, emotionless. He didn't shout. He didn't argue. He just said 6 words that cut deeper than any knife. "This is my office. You're done." My name had already been removed from documents. Shares shifted. My identity erased silently over weeks while I trusted him completely. I looked around. Employees watched but pretended not to. Screens glowed. Footsteps passed. My world shattered, but the office kept breathing as if nothing had happened. I walked outside in a slow haze, no dramatic scene, no begging. Just the heavy ache of realizing the person I protected had carefully pushed me off the edge. Rain began to fall, soaking my shirt, my plans, my faith in him. Betrayal didn't make me violent, it made me clear. He had taken his office from me that morning. By 9:00 a.m. soon, his company would have no lease beneath it. People think power is about big chairs, glass doors, and loud voices. Ian believed that too. He walked through the office like a king in his castle, confident that every wall, every desk, every heartbeat in that building belonged to him. His name shone on the company logo, the visiting cards, the reception backdrop. He thought ownership was about being seen. But there was one thing he forgot. The building itself, the floor beneath his expensive shoes, was leased in my name. When we started the company, the landlord didn't trust new businessmen with big dreams and no records. Ian had confidence, yes, but no financial history. I was the one with credit, paperwork, and patience. So the landlord had looked at me, not him, and said, "The contract will be with you." Ian never cared to read documents. He only loved signing them grandly in front of people. That day he signed blindly. I read every page, and I remembered every clause. That night, after he kicked me out like a stranger, I sat at my old wooden desk at home, the same desk where we once planned success together. I opened a dusty folder, the very foundation of his empire. There it was, the building lease, clear, simple, powerful. The renewal date was 2 days away. Only I could renew it, only I could cancel it. My hands were steady. My heart wasn't burning with rage. It was frozen, calm, and precise. Real revenge isn't screaming. It's a quiet decision made at midnight. I called the landlord. His voice was warm, still calling me Beta. Like always, I said gently, "I won't be renewing the lease." He paused, then sighed, understanding more than I said. There was no argument, no drama, just acceptance and legality. By dawn, the notices were ready. By 8:30 a.m., they were delivered. And by 9:00 a.m., every department, every manager, every confident employee read the same cold sentence: "This property lease is terminated. Vacate the premises immediately." The office turned into a shaken beehive. Phones rang nonstop. Files slammed shut. People whispered, walked fast, stared at the walls as if they were suddenly strangers. Ian stood in the center, the same place where he had told me, "This is my office." Except now the truth stood taller than him. Without a lease, without me, without respect, his empire was standing on air. The company still had employees, contracts, and pride, but the ground was gone. And at exactly 9:02 a.m., I knew he finally understood what I had quietly taught him. Power isn't in the throne, it is in the floor that holds it. By 9:00 a.m., the building was no longer his kingdom. By 9:05 a.m., his voice no longer sounded like authority. Panic travels faster than fire, and it had already reached every corner of the office. Meetings were canceled, laptops closed, people stood in uncertain clusters, holding files like life jackets on a sinking ship. My phone rang, his name flashed on the screen. Not Ian. Just Ian, plain, lonely, suddenly human. "Come here," he said. The command was still there, but the strength wasn't. It trembled beneath the words. I walked into the same lobby where he had once stripped me of my place. The security guard stepped aside this time without a word. Everyone watched me the way they had watched him the day he threw me out. Only now, the air felt different. Heavy, expectant, almost judgmental, Ian stood in the middle of the room, pale, eyes red but dry. Pride is stubborn. It cries only when no one is watching. "You did this?" he asked, voice thin like cracked glass. "Yes," I said simply. "How could you?" His anger tried to rise but kept drowning under fear. "We built all this together. I repeated softly. I tilted my head the same way he had when he said, "This is my office." "You removed me, remember. You said it was yours." For a moment he said nothing. He just stared at those familiar walls, as if seeing them for the first time, not as possessions, but as borrowed shelter. "You could have talked to me," he whispered. "I did," I replied. "For years, every time you took credit, every time you erased we and replaced it with I. You didn't listen then. You listen now because the ground is gone." His shoulders finally lowered. Ego was leaving his body slowly, painfully. "I'm sorry," he said, not loud, not dramatic, just honest. The word felt small for the damage done, but real for the first time. I looked at him, my brother, my betrayer, my childhood friend. I didn't enjoy his defeat. Revenge isn't sweet sugar, it is bitter medicine given at the right time. "I didn't destroy your company," I said calmly. "I destroyed your illusion. You thought success meant ownership. It doesn't. It means respect, loyalty, partnership, all the things you broke." He blinked back tears, not because he lost an office, but because he finally understood what he had lost long before that, me. In that silent lobby, with employees pretending not to stare, one truth stood taller than any building. Sometimes the harshest punishment isn't losing everything. It is realizing who you became on your way to getting it. The company moved out within days. Expensive furniture wrapped in plastic, trophies boxed, nameplates unscrewed as if pride itself was being gently removed from the walls. What once looked permanent suddenly felt temporary, like a grand stage after the play ends. Ian didn't shout anymore. He moved through the chaos quietly, signing papers, answering questions, watching everything he called mine turn into former. I didn't go there again. My role in that chapter was finished. Instead, I began a new one. I rented a small workspace, no marble floors, no giant glass doors, no echoing lobby. Just sunlight through simple curtains, 2 tables, and a kettle that never rested. I hired people who valued honesty over titles. We laughed more than we bragged. We worked hard, sometimes too hard, but every success tasted clean. There were no crowns here, only shared effort. For the first time, my heart wasn't heavy when I unlocked an office door. Months passed. One evening, as rain tapped softly on the windows, there was a knock. I knew the rhythm instantly. Some habits never leave the bones. I opened the door. Ian stood there, not dressed like a king, not acting like one. His eyes held fatigue, humility, and the kind of silence that grows after losing yourself for a while. "Can I come in?" he asked. There was no command in his voice now, only request. He looked around my modest office, mismatched chairs, papers stacked imperfectly, a plant leaning toward light. There was nothing grand, yet something in the room made him exhale. "Peace," he murmured, almost surprised by the feeling. We sat facing each other, not as rivals, not as businessmen, just two brothers who had walked very far away from the boys they once were. "I'm rebuilding," he said slowly, "a smaller office, a smaller team, but a better version of me." He paused, searching for words that didn't hide behind ego. "I lost more than a lease. I lost you. And that hurt more than any building going away." There was apology in his voice, not wrapped in excuses, not decorated, simply placed between us like fragile glass. I didn't rush to forgive him. Wounds don't close just because someone finally sees them. But I also didn't push him away. "I never wanted you ruined," I said quietly. "I wanted you awake." He nodded, tears finally unstopping, not for the company, not for money, but for the years we allowed pride to sit between us at the dinner table without naming it. We didn't hug immediately. Healing isn't dramatic. It is slow, careful, like stitching fabric that has already torn once. As he left, he looked back at my small office and smiled, the old smile, the one from before success changed the meaning of we. That was my revenge. Not burning his world, but building one of my own without losing myself in the process.